Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon, Pak Slamet. Good afternoon, Bu Widyawati, and good afternoon, all of my friends. Thank you for the opportunities that given to our group today. We are from group 4, and the member are the first is Ibu Laila, and the second is Ibu Ika Lucy, and the last me, Ika Farida. Especially for today, allow us to present material about analyzing qualitative data. Next. Analyzing qualitative data is the range of processes and procedures where we move from the qualitative data that have been collected into some form of explanation, understanding, or interpretation of the people and situations we are investigating. And data analysis is a process of breaking down data into smaller units, determining their importance and putting pertinent units together in a more general form. There are some steps analyzing, especially in qualitative data. Steps in analyzing and interpreting qualitative data by Creswell 2012. The first is preparing and organizing the data for analysis. This is the first step. We have to collect all the data here for analysis. And the second is exploring the data through coding. And next, using codes to develop description and themes. We have to code how to description and themes. And the next step is representing the findings through narrative and visual, and the last is making an interpretation of the meaning of the findings. And this is the illustration, the process of data analysis by John W. Creswell. Start from the bottom and up. The first is the researcher collects data. For example, they are a text file such as field notes, transcription, or optically scanned material. And next, the researcher prepared data for analysis. They are transcripts, field note, and then researcher reads through data. They are obtained a general sense of material, and after that, the researcher codes the data. They allocate text segment and assign a code label to them. Codes the text for description to be used in the research report, and then codes the text for themes to be used in the research report. And here there are simultaneous and interactive. It involves a simultaneous process of analyzing while you are also collecting data in qualitative research. The data collection analysis are simultaneous activities. When you are collecting data, you may also be analyzing other information previously collected. Looking for major ideas, this procedure differs from traditional approaches in qualitative research in which data collection occurs first, followed by data analysis. And here there are iterative. The fase before the fase are also iterative, meaning you cycle back and forth between data collection and analysis. And the next step for analyzing, preparing and organizing the data. Preparing and analyzing data, we have to conduct it, develop metric or table of source. And the second is organized material by type. Organized material by type here means all the interviews, all observation, all documents, and all photographs or other visual material. As an alternative, you might consider organizing the material by participant, site, location, or some combination of these approaches. And after that, keep duplicate copies of material. Next. And the next step is transcript data. Transcript data here means transcription is the process of converting audio tape recordings of field notes into text data. And after that, during qualitative data collection, you will collect text or words through interviewing participants or by writing field notes during observation. And all interviews and all observational notes transcript. And the next step is prepare data for hands or computer analysis and select computer program. Here, hand analysis of qualitative data means that researchers read the data, mark it by hand, and divide into parts. And the comparative analysis of qualitative data means that researchers use a qualitative computer program to facilitate the process of storing, analyzing, sorting, and representing or visualizing data. Especially for this, before back to the back slide, yes. Before back, before we conduct but that actually in here, we conducted analysis qualitative data. The research data marked it by hand and divided into parts. Traditionally, analyzing text data involved using color coding to mark part of the text or cutting and pasting text sentences onto cards. Next. And the next step is exploring the data. In here, exploring the data, there are some steps to explore the data. The first is obtain a general sense of the data by performing a preliminary exploratory analysis. And the second is read through field notes and interview several times to get a sense of the interview and the observation. And write memos in the margin of interviews or field note of your initial reflection on the data. And the last is consider whether more data are needed. Next. And this is coding the data. There are some activities in coding data. The first is read through all transcript. And the second is start with one transcript and then identify text segment and bracket text segment and then assign code word. Assign code word here, there are some steps. One or two, three words that describe what is being said. And the second term from the literature can be used. And then when possible, use a participant's actual word in Viva code. And the last is practice lean code. In here is about 30 until 40 codes. And next, this is include codes that describe the participant inside and then reduce redundancy. After coding an entire text, make a list of all code words, group similar code, and look for redundant codes. Your objective is to reduce a list of codes to a smaller, more manageable number, such as 25 to 30 codes. And then collapse code into theme, which are the major ideas that emerge from the data. And the ideas the participants most frequently discuss are unique or surprising, have the most evidence to support them, or those you might expect to find when studying the phenomenon. And after that, breakdown usually number 5 until 7 themes. Okay, this is the visual mode of the coding process in qualitative research. The first is initially read through text data, many pages of the text, and after that, divide the text into segments of information. In here, many segments of text, and label the segment of information with codes. It's about 30 until 40 codes. And after that, reduce overlap and redundancy of code, reduce to 20 and collapse code into theme. It's about 5 until 7 themes. Okay. using codes to build description. In here, description is detailed rendering of people, places, even in setting in qualitative research activities and processes. It is easiest to start the analysis after the initial reading and coding of the data, and after that, describe in detail. Okay, this is building a description passage. This is the example descriptive passage, and the left side, this is the description. Every paragraph description put from broad to narrow. This situate the reader in the place or context here, and provide details, and then details to create a sense of being there. Yes, use of action verb and vivid modifier and adjective. And here underline, there are underline, and after that, just describe the fact. Do not interpret situation. This is any anxious. This is the fact, yeah. And the last is use of quotes or italic to emphasize ideas or reflective comments. Okay, the next is using code to identify themes and will be explained by Bu Laila. Okay, Bu Laila, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rufita. Using code to identify themes, there are some ways. The first is using ordinary themes, and the second is using unexpected themes, social science themes, and the last is layering and connecting themes. Okay, this is an example coding used in theme passage. You may see in the left passage title for the theme based on the words of participant, and then here the evidence for theme based on multiple perspective of participants. Within the terms are multiple sub themes. You can see from the row here, sub themes add complexity to the narrative evidence for theme based on short quotes, and the last is quotes used to provide voice of participant. Now we come to how to representing the finding. Yeah, there are two possibilities in representing the finding. The first is qualitative researchers represent their findings in visual display that may include first figures. So in representing the findings, the researcher may use figures, and the second is diagram, or can be draw a map, or using comparison tables and demographic tables. This is the example of a diagram. So you may use such kind of diagram to represent the finding. This is the sample for comparison table. You can see here the comparison table between female statement about professionalism and male statement about professionalism. So we can compare between the the statement from female and the statement from male in one table. And then next is this is the example of demographic table. Okay. Besides using those ways, we also qualitative research also may report their finding in narrative discussion, comprising many forms such as chronology, question, or commentary about any changes that the participant experience. Okay, next step in analyzing the data, we should reporting the findings. Yeah, the first is that in reporting findings, we may use multiple perspectives for each theme, and can be we use metaphor or analogies. We may also make some quotes or add some quotes there, important quotes. Don't forget to be detailed, and also use the tensions and contradiction in reporting the finding. Interpreting the findings. Okay, in interpreting the finding, the first what you can do is review the major finding and how the research questions were answered. So, in other words, we summarize the major finding, and then we also, or the researcher also reflect about the personal meaning of the data. Can be also compare and contrast personal viewpoints with the literature. So we what is that? We compare the finding with the literature, and then don't forget to address some limitation of the studies, maybe if you find it, and usually we have it. And the last is make suggestion for future researcher. This is the example you can see here. There are what is that? The Hanover standardization is supported by current literature. So this is so the contrast of current literature, compare and contrast for current literature, and also limitation. Yeah. Okay. Next we will talk about types of qualitative analysis. There are some types of qualitative analysis. The first is content analysis. The second is narrative analysis, and then discourse analysis, framework analysis, and we may also use grounded theory analysis. Okay, content analysis. This refers to the categorization, tagging, and thematic analysis of qualitative data. This can include combining the result of the analysis with behavioral data for deeper insight. For narrative analysis, some qualitative data such as interviews or field notes may contain a story. So for example, the process of choosing a product, using it, evaluating its quality, and decision to buy or not buy this product next time. Narrative analysis helps understand the underlying events and their effect on the overall outcome. Besides that, we may also use discourse analysis. This refers to analysis of what people say in social and cultural context. It is particularly useful when your focus is on building or strengthening a brand. Framework analysis. When performing qualitative data analysis, it is useful to have a framework. A code frame or can be a hierarchical set of terms used in coding qualitative data. Is an example of such framework. And then the last one is we may use a grounded theory. This method of analysis starts by formulating a theory around a single data case. Therefore, the theory is grounded in actual data. Then additional cases can be examined to see if they are relevant, and can add to the original theory. And this is the example of analyzing. The first is analyzing focus group discussion. I got it from Helion Journal. The title is Using a Knowledge Translation Framework to Identify Barriers and Supports to Effective Nursing Handover, a focus group study. So we may see here that using a qualitative focus group design, a context-specific assessment of the barriers and enabled to knowledge translation was performed through 5 semi-constructed focus group. Focus group discussions were recorded by a registered court reporter using a stenotype machine for voice-to-text transcription, transcribed verbatims, and de-identified for analysis. Focus group data were analyzed using thematic analysis. So using focus group data, yeah, this is a focus group discussion. The data analysis process include the process for each focus group transcript, and then the codes were divided into 4 topics into the topic from the interview guide, and then the last is the codes within each topic were grouped into categories, and this is the summary finding from the focus group discussion. So there is a theme and then sub-theme, categories, and then so participant discussion vignettes. Okay, next is an example of analyzing observation gathered from Learning Culture and Social Interaction Journal. The title is Examining Dialogic Opportunities in Teacher-Student Interaction. This is an ethnographic observation of the language classroom. Okay. This, yeah, as it is in the title, this is an ethnographic observation of the language classroom. Yeah, so using an observation in the language classroom, you can see here that the analysis is based on the what is that, observation of the classroom. Okay, next is an example of analyzing interview will be explained by Bu Ika. Bu Ika, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Laila. This is the example of analyzing interview data. This study takes interview to explore the knowledge development in the teaching profession. This study concerns on teachers' understanding of how conversation between colleagues can promote the development of knowledge. Next. Next. In analyzing the data, this study applies meaning categorization and thematic analysis. The meaning categorization cover reduce the data and then organize, structure, and meaning to the transcribe the data. While thematic analysis concern on repeat reading the data and then identify the keyword, and the last give codes relates with the research question and theory. Next. This is the finding of the study. We can see the finding. Before writing the interview data, we should write down the introduction regarding the theme of this study, and then we give the transcribed data, and the last explain it. Next, this is the example of analyzing use. This study explores masculinity through emotion in use, especially sport news. And then next. This study applies manual qualitative analysis paired with corpus linguistic technique and CTA or critical discourse analysis approach. In this study, corpus linguistic concern on lexis and CTA covers or investigate the emotion. And then next, the next, this is the finding of the study. In this finding, before giving the table, we should write down the introduction. And then next. Yeah, this is the example of analyzing image such as comic. This study analyzed comics to explore the role of comics, especially in public health communication during the COVID-19 pandemic. And then the next, yeah, this is the finding of the study. We can give introduction before giving the screenshot of comic. Then we explain it. And then the next, this is the example of analyzing video such as film. This study analyzed film to explore semiotic of race and sexuality. This study takes Hollywood ninja film in identifying race and sexuality. Next. We can give the table about the list of film in this study to make clear description about the film. And then next, this is the example of this study. We can give the introduction before giving the transcript of the film. Then explain it. Next, we also can give the screenshot of the video regarding the research question in this study.
Is that all, Bu Ika?
That's all about analyzing qualitative data.
Okay, that's all, Pak Slamet and Bu Widiawati. That's all about the explanation of analysis data today. So I speak apologies because there are any activities beside me. And thank you for all the attention for today. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.